Hello. Probably even the most hopeless skeptics believe in a couple of strange myths for some weird reason. You keep explaining to them that ostriches don't hide their heads in the sand or that bulls don't hate the color red, but they still stick to their guns. Therefore, in today's video, we'll try to refute the 15 most popular myths in which people still believe. Let's get it on. Carrots and blueberries improve vision. Perhaps your parents told you that you've got to eat carrots and blueberries to improve your eyesight. Most likely you believe them and try to eat a whole bucket of these magic products because you wanted to be as sharp as Legolas, right? Alas, we have to disappoint you. It's all fiction. Of course, carrots and blueberries contain vitamins and all sorts of different trace elements that the retina might need. Nevertheless, if you eat them in enormous quantities, it won't improve your vision in any way. So no matter how many carrots or blueberries you eat, you won't turn into a sharp-eared Prince of Mirkwood. Mice love cheese. A lot of cartoons, movies, and comics claim that mice just love cheese. You have to put a nice bit of cheese in a mousetrap, and the little beast, unable to resist this delicacy, will run out of its hiding place, risking its life, and will try to get it. However, mice are crazy about everything that they can eat, or cannot eat. These animals can easily have for dinner some cardboard, plastic cans, and other absolutely inedible junk. Although most types of mice are little gourmets and prefer to eat grain, fruit, ham, and cheese. So where did this myth come from, you ask? It's all because in earlier times cheese was stored in open places more than other products, and the little beasts were glad to use this opportunity, and hardly anyone can judge them. Dogs don't see colors. Most likely, many of you believe that dogs see the surrounding world exclusively in black and white and determine the outlines of objects thanks to different levels of brightness. Indeed, for a long time, colored objects haven't been used in training in order not to confuse pets. However, scientists have proved that dogs are able to distinguish colors. In fact, they have color vision, although not quite the same as a human, and here's why. 3 kinds of cones are responsible for human color perception, but there are only 2 types of cones in the dog's retina, and therefore our 4-legged friends don't perceive red and orange. However, they have another cool ability. Dogs can distinguish up to 40 shades of gray, or maybe 50 if they're feeling kinky. Coin and skyscraper. Many still believe that if you throw a coin from the roof of the Empire State Building or somewhere similar, then it'll speed up and hit a casual passerby, causing him or her a serious injury. If you still believe in this, we're sorry to disappoint you, but there have been experiments to try and prove this idea and no one has been hurt. Shortly before landing, the coin speeds up to a little over 60 miles per hour, but its weight is so small that the person below can only feel an unpleasant click on the head. Most likely, he won't like it very much and perhaps he'll get very angry, but he'll definitely remain safe and sound. Stress causes grey hair. If you think that the level of stress and tension in your life will turn you into a grandfather, then we've got some great news. That will not happen. Scientists have established that this common myth is only an invention, often used by writers and filmmakers, so you can relax. Your hair won't turn grey too soon, even if your week was too stressful. Actually, this only happens because of certain genetic characteristics, or because of Magneto's experiments. You can't swim after you eat. Of course, if you're going to participate in a great swimming competition, then we don't recommend you to dive in with a full belly. Well, at least if you want the gold medal. But if you don't plan to win and only want to swim in warm water for a while after a dense dinner, you can do it without fear. Nothing terrible will happen. Ostriches hide their heads in the sand. Ostriches hide their heads in the sand when they feel threatened. Wow, what an excellent idea. Well, at least the Roman scientist Pliny the Elder thought so, and decided to add this fact to his encyclopedia. Since then, many believe that the world's largest bird hides its head in the sand in any weird situation. But the truth is, ostriches don't do any of that. After all, you can suffocate in the sand. These birds actually lean down toward the ground, but they don't hide in it, but in order to have a snack. Yes, ostriches actually swallow sand and pebbles to help the stomach digest difficult food, and in case of danger, they prefer to lie down and press their head against the ground. Nero and violin. This story is similar to many, but if you don't know anything about it, don't worry, because we're going to explain it to you. Now, imagine this. It's the year 64 BC. The ancient city of Rome burns in a fire, and its ruler, Emperor Nero, is standing on the roof of the palace playing the violin. And how would that look on the big screen and in 3D? However, we're a little distracted because in this beautiful and terrifying story there's one small detail: the violin itself, which the Roman emperor couldn't play. And not because he doubted his ability, but because this instrument was invented only 1600 years after the famous Roman fire. The story would be more believable with a lyre, but Nero could only play it at a distance of 30 miles from the burning Rome, because during the fire he wasn't in the Eternal City, but in his villa in the suburbs. The rainiest country. What comes to mind when you hear the word England? No doubt tea, the Queen, the Big Ben, and rain. The myth that Great Britain is not only a foggy but also a very rainy place is very old, but that doesn't make it more real. In fact, in London each year fall about 500 millimeters of precipitation, quite little compared to Milan, for example, where this parameter is 2 times higher. It's true that in Italy it rains mainly in autumn and winter, while in the United Kingdom, on the contrary, it rains throughout the year. Therefore, if you go to Baker Street, don't forget to grab an umbrella. Cats always fall on their feet. If you're the lucky owner of a fluffy Fluffkins, you probably know that it will always land on all 4s. You may have even performed some experiments at home, but if ever such an idea occurred to you, just take our word for it. No, seriously, trust us and let go of the cat, okay? So, cats have this incredible ability to rotate in the air. When falling, the cat opens its legs to the sides and becomes a small fluffy parachute, reducing the speed of the fall. Moreover, the higher the altitude, the more time the cat has to maneuver. Therefore, when they fall from a low altitude, these animals often don't have time to tuck themselves up, so instead of landing on their feet, they land randomly. So the myth about the 4 legs landing is only partly true. Asteroid belts. Do you know which is, according to Hollywood movie writers, the greatest danger astronauts face? No, it's not an Imperial stormtrooper and not even black holes, but asteroid belts. For example, the ship may accidentally crash, like when you hit a post with your car. Bam! The hull gets damaged and everyone needs to leave the ship immediately. In reality, the situation's slightly different. Between each asteroid there are miles of emptiness, which are not a threat to people or other alien races. Well, except it's in the open space, which, let's say, isn't the safest place to be. Mickey Mouse's author. Now let's get serious. Walt Disney didn't come up with Mickey Mouse, the most famous mouse in human history. Yes, we understand this news may surprise you, but this is true, we're not messing with you. Of course, the great animator helped in the creation of Mickey, but the person responsible for the sketches, and at the same time the image itself, was Ub Iwerks, who was famous for his incredible work speed. He also animated the first cartoons with the famous mouse, and can draw 700 images per day. However, later Disney gave Mickey his voice in the first sounding cartoons. The Dead Sea. Surely, many have heard that the saltiest body of water on our planet is the Dead Sea, and the concentration of salt in it is so high that a person can't physically drown there. We won't argue with the fact that it's hard to dive deep into this water, but the Dead Sea is not the saltiest sea on the planet. As in most myths, their believers totally ignore Antarctica, and that's where all world record holders usually are. Yep, including the saltiest body of water. This lake called Don Juan was discovered in the Victoria Land in 1961, and it really amazed researchers. Of course, it wasn't covered with ice, despite the fact that the water temperature reached minus 30 degrees C, and around it was even 20 degrees C colder, all because of the salt, which simply didn't allow the liquid to freeze. Unfortunately, scientists can't verify whether a person can drown in this lake or not, because the lake has become quite shallow and now resembles a deep, salty puddle. Opposites attract. Unfortunately, the expression opposites attract works only with magnets, because in real life everything is, well, let's say a little bit more complicated. According to the statistics, the best couples are people who have similar interests and views about life. and this is quite understandable. After all, if a couple spends most of the day arguing, who's faster, Quicksilver or Flash? There won't be time to build a relationship, right? However, if you put aside characters, hobbies, and the eternal confrontation between Marvel and DC, you can find something quite interesting. People actually find those who don't look like them more attractive. Scientists explain this by saying that a visually similar person who looks like a relative to us, which means that he or she automatically becomes less pleasant as a partner. Oh, a little correction, this rule doesn't apply to Lannisters. 8 hours of sleep. How many hours of sleep do people need to feel alive? Many of you will probably say 8 hours, but the more the merrier, and you'll probably be right. But scientists say that sleep preferences are particular to each person. Not everyone needs 8 hours of sleep, and for some even 6 hours is enough. And there is no anomaly here, so you don't need to run to the doctor if you suddenly feel full of energy at 7 o'clock in the morning, if you went to bed at 1 o'clock in the night before. By the way, studies have shown that people who sleep 6 hours live longer than others, and at the same time have higher productivity. Maybe coffee is the key, don't you think? Comrades, tell us in the comments, do you believe in these myths? And don't forget to like our video. If you haven't checked Jelly Gummy Bear's channel yet, you should do it right away. You'll certainly like all the funny experiments with the jelly bear, cool life hacks, awesome homemade stuff, and exciting adventures that are waiting for you on the channel.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks, and we'll be right back to you as fast as we can.